My wife just sent me the most unhinged text messages after cleaning out our joint account. I think I'm about to get divorced, so this is probably going to be all over the place. My wife Lillian and I have been married for 4 years, together for 6. I thought things were good between us, or at least normal married couple stuff, you know. Sure, we've had our ups and downs, but doesn't everyone? About 6 months ago, I started noticing some changes. She was on her phone constantly, being secretive about it, working late more often. Classic signs that everyone talks about here. I'm not stupid. I know what this probably meant. Here's where it gets complicated, though. I work in finance, specifically helping small businesses with their accounting and credit structures. It's not glamorous, but I understand money, debt, and how banking systems work. This becomes important later. When Lillian and I got married, we opened what she thought was a joint checking account. Technically, it was, but it was actually tied to a small business credit line I'd set up years earlier for some consulting work I do on the side. The account had both our names on it, but legally, it was structured as a business account with her as the primary account holder for tax purposes. I handled all the banking paperwork and explained it was just easier for our finances this way. She never really paid attention to the details. Money stuff bored her, she always said. Fast forward to today. I was at work when my phone started blowing up with texts from Lillian. And guys, these messages were something else. The first one: Tony, I'm done pretending. I've been seeing Martin for months and I'm leaving you. Don't bother coming home tonight, I'll be staying at his place. Okay, that hurt, but I kind of saw it coming, right? The next message, though: oh, and thanks for making this so easy. I cleaned out our account this morning. $47,000, not bad for 4 years of putting up with your boring ass. Consider it compensation for wasting my 20s on you. Martin and I are going to have such a good time with your money. Then, I win, Tony. I actually freaking win for once. You always thought you were so smart with your finance bullshit, but look who's walking away with everything. Hope you save some cash in your wallet because that's all you've got now, loser. I sat in my office staring at these texts for a good 10 minutes. The crazy thing is, I wasn't even angry at first. I was just fascinated. Like watching a car crash in slow motion when you can see exactly how it's going to end. After about 15 minutes of processing this insanity, I texted her back. Congratulations. You might want to read those account terms more carefully, though. Good luck. That was it. Short, sweet, and to the point. I figured she'd understand what I meant soon enough. See, here's what Lillian didn't know, and what I probably should have explained better years ago. That business credit account she just drained. It wasn't my money. It was a revolving credit line with a $50,000 limit that I'd been using for client transactions. The $47,000 she took was borrowed money, money that now has her name as the primary account holder responsible for paying it back. And me. Well, about 2 months ago, when I started getting really suspicious about her behavior, I quietly opened a new personal checking account and moved my actual money there. Every penny of my salary, our real savings, everything that was actually ours, it's all in an account she doesn't know exists. So let me get this straight. She cheated on me, left me for another guy, and accidentally stole $47,000 of debt while leaving me with all our actual assets. I know I should probably feel devastated about my marriage ending, and maybe that will hit me later. But right now, I'm just sitting here wondering if I should text her back and explain what she just did to herself, or if I should let her figure it out when the bank calls. What would you guys do? Am I wrong for kind of wanting to see how this plays out? I keep rereading her texts calling me a loser and saying she won, and I honestly can't decide if I should laugh or cry. Edit. Holy shit, thanks for all the responses. I'm trying to read through everything. A lot of you are asking about the legal side. Yes, I've already called my lawyer, meeting with him tomorrow morning. Update 1. Holy hell, Reddit. This week has been absolutely insane. So many of you asked for updates that I figured I owed you guys the continuation of this shit show. So here's what's happened since my last post. So the bank call happened Wednesday morning, 3 days after she sent me those lovely texts. I was actually in a meeting with my lawyer when my phone started buzzing nonstop. Lillian's name kept popping up on the screen, call after call after call. I looked at my lawyer and just left them all unanswered. Like 12 missed calls in 20 minutes because I refused to answer. Then the voicemail started. First voicemail crying, "Tony, I need you to call me back right now. Something's wrong with the bank. They're saying I owe money. This has to be a mistake." Second voicemail angry, "Why aren't you answering? Did you do something to our account? Fix this." Third voicemail panicked, "Tony, please, they're saying I'm responsible for $47,000 in debt. That's impossible. That was our money. Call me back." My lawyer was sitting right there listening to these and just raised his eyebrows. "Your wife sounds distressed," he said in that dry way lawyers do. I finally called her back during lunch. She was barely coherent, jumping between crying and yelling. Apparently, the bank's collections department had called her that morning to discuss the significant overdraw on her business credit account. When she insisted there was some mistake, they very patiently explained that she was the primary account holder and had withdrawn $47,000 against a credit line that required immediate repayment. "But it was our joint account," she kept screaming at me. "Our money, our account." I tried to explain again the business credit structure, but she wasn't hearing it. She just kept repeating that I must have done something to trick the bank into calling her. "Lillian," I said, trying to stay calm, "you can fix this. Just put the money back. Transfer whatever you haven't spent back into the account and you can work out the rest." That's when she got quiet, really quiet. "Lillian, how much is left?" We already put deposits down on things. And Martin needed some cash to help with his rent, and we bought some furniture for the new place, and there was this trip we booked. "Answer the question, Lillian, how much is left?" Maybe like 12 or 15,000. I don't know exactly. I didn't keep track." So she'd blown through about $32,000 in 3 days. Deposits on apartments, giving cash to Martin, buying shit to play house with her affair partner. According to what Lillian told me during that phone call, between the crying and accusations, she'd already told Martin about her big score when she left me. So they immediately went into planning all that romantic bullshit once she told him she'd got the money. But Wednesday afternoon, after the bank call, when she tried to explain to Martin that there might be a small financial complication, specifically that she owed about $32,000 and needed to find a way to pay it back, dude disappeared faster than free beer at a college party. Blocked her number, blocked her on social media, blocked her everywhere. Apparently, the idea of dating someone with $32K in debt wasn't quite as appealing as dating someone with $47K in cash. She told me this while sobbing on the phone like I was supposed to feel sorry for her. "He just left, Tony. He didn't even let me explain." "I mean, what do you even say to that?" So I just told her, "It wasn't my problem, Lillian. You're the one who chose to left me for him. Now deal with it." Then hung up. Then Lillian's sister Lily called me Thursday night. Now Lily and I always got along well. She's the responsible one in that family, works as a nurse, has her shit together. She was calling to check on me, but also to let me know that Lillian had been calling everyone in the family trying to get money to fix the situation. "She's telling everyone you scammed her somehow," Lily said. "But Tony, I know you, and I also know my sister. She never paid attention to any financial stuff, ever. Mom used to have to force her to balance her checkbook in high school." Lily also mentioned that their dad Charles was furious with me and talking about lawyers. Charles always treated Lillian like his little princess who could do no wrong, so this wasn't surprising. But Lily said even he was getting frustrated because Lillian's story kept changing every time she told it. First she said you hid money from her, then she said you moved money without telling her. Now she's saying you set up fake accounts to trick her. Dad's starting to ask questions about why her story keeps changing. Speaking of Charles, he called me Friday night. And by called, I mean he screamed at me for about 10 minutes straight. "You bastard," was how he opened the conversation. "What the hell did you do to my daughter?" I tried to explain the situation calmly, but Charles wasn't having it. He kept interrupting me. "She trusted you with the finances because you're supposed to be the expert," he yelled. "And you used that trust to set her up. What kind of sick game is this?" When I finally got a word in and started explaining the business credit structure, he cut me off. "I don't want to hear your fancy financial bullshit. You deliberately confused her with complicated paperwork so you could screw her over later." The call ended with him threatening to sue me for everything I own and make sure I pay for what you did to her. Then he hung up on me. Honestly, I felt bad for the guy. I mean, his daughter had just told him her husband financially abused her and left her with massive debt. Of course he was going to be furious. He was just being a protective father based on the information he had, which was completely wrong, but he didn't know that yet. Oh, and apparently I'm now internet famous in a very specific corner of Facebook. Lillian posted a long rant about me being a financial abuser who stole her money and tricked her into debt. The post got shared a bunch of times in some women's support groups she's part of. The thing is, I have mutual friends with her, and several of them reached out to ask what the hell was going on. When I explained the actual situation, the narrative fell apart pretty quickly. One of her friends actually commented on Lillian's post asking why she'd accessed a business credit line without understanding what it was. That comment got deleted real fast. So anyway, my lawyer says I'm in good shape legally. All the paperwork clearly shows the account structure, and I have records of every transaction going back years. The business credit line was legitimate, properly documented, and Lillian signed all the original paperwork, even if she didn't read it carefully. The divorce papers are being filed Monday. My lawyer says it should be straightforward since she's already moved out and we don't have kids. The debt she created is her responsibility, and my actual assets are protected. As for Lillian, she's apparently moved back in with her parents and is trying to find a lawyer who will help her sue me for fraud. Good luck with that, I guess. I'm doing better than expected, actually. The betrayal hurts, don't get me wrong. 4 years of marriage down the drain because she wanted some excitement. But you know what hurts worse than being cheated on? Being called boring and stupid by someone who just accidentally put themselves $32K in debt while trying to screw you over. I'm still staying at my brother's place this week, and honestly, it's been kind of nice. Lillian and I own a house together, bought it 2 years ago, both names on the mortgage, but I needed some space to think and honestly didn't want to be there alone with all her stuff still around. I'll keep you guys posted if anything else crazy happens. Update 2. I thought things had settled down after my last update, but apparently Lillian was just getting warmed up. This is going to be long because so much has happened. So last Friday, 2 detectives showed up at my office. Apparently, Lillian had filed a police report claiming I had committed fraud and identity theft to steal $47,000 from her. She told them I had tricked her into signing documents she didn't understand and then manipulated the bank to make her responsible for debt that should be mine. I'm not going to lie, seeing cops at my workplace was terrifying at first. But I keep meticulous financial records for my business, and my lawyer had already prepared a folder with everything. The original business credit application, with both our signatures, every transaction record, correspondence with the bank, everything. The detectives were actually pretty cool about it. The older one looked through all the paperwork while the younger one asked me questions. After about an hour, the older detective basically said, "Sir, your wife appears to have filed a false police report. These documents clearly show she was an authorized user who accessed funds she was legally responsible for." Here's where it gets crazy, though. Because Lillian filed a criminal complaint, the detectives had to investigate. But when they dug into her claims, they found some interesting things. Remember how she drained the account on Monday and then the bank called her Wednesday? Well, the bank has security footage of her at the ATM making multiple withdrawals Monday morning. The timestamp shows 9:47 a.m., which means she did this after Martin picked her up from our house at 8:30 a.m. The detectives interviewed Martin, and apparently he was not happy about being dragged into this. He told them that Lillian had called him Sunday night saying she had a plan to take Tony for everything, and that she'd have enough money for us to start over anywhere we want. So now there's a record of her premeditation to take the money, plus evidence that she understood exactly what she was doing. But wait, it gets better. Lillian's dad Charles called me Tuesday, not to yell this time, to apologize. Apparently, the police had contacted him as part of their investigation, and when they explained what the paperwork actually showed, it finally sank in that his daughter had been lying to everyone. "Tony," he said, "I owe you an apology. I should have asked more questions before I got angry with you. Lillian's story never quite made sense, but I wanted to believe her." Charles also told me something that made a lot of pieces fall into place. When Lillian moved back home, she'd been pressuring him and her mother to take out a second mortgage to help her pay off the debt that Tony stuck me with. She'd even brought them to a lawyer to see about suing me for everything I owned. But the lawyer she took them to apparently took one look at the case and told them not only would they lose, but that Lillian could potentially face charges for filing false claims. That's when Charles started asking harder questions about what really happened. "Remember that Facebook post where Lillian called me a financial abuser?" Well, after the police investigation started, several people began asking pointed questions in the comments. Instead of answering these questions, Lillian doubled down. She posted an even longer rant claiming I had gaslit her for years and psychologically manipulated her into signing documents. She said the police were part of the patriarchal system designed to protect financial abusers. Her sister Lily finally had enough. Lily commented on the post with something like, "Lillian, I love you, but you need to stop lying. Tony showed me all the paperwork 3 years ago when you guys refinanced the house. You were there. You asked him to handle the finances because you said money was boring. You can't rewrite history because things didn't work out the way you wanted." That comment got screenshot and shared before Lillian could delete it. The whole narrative just collapsed in real time. It was like watching a house of cards fall down. Plot twist nobody saw coming. Martin called me Wednesday night. Apparently, after the police interviewed him, he'd been thinking about some things Lillian had told him about our marriage. "Dude," he said, "I think your wife might be actually crazy. She told me you never worked and that she supported you financially. But the cops showed me bank records proving you were the only one with steady income for the last 2 years." He also said that Lillian had been telling him I was controlling and wouldn't let her have access to money, while simultaneously planning to steal $47,000. "She told me you took all the money she made and kept it hidden from her, but then she somehow knew exactly where to find 47 grand. That math doesn't work, man." Martin apologized for sleeping with my wife, which was weird. I didn't really know what to say to that. But he also said something that stuck with me. "I thought I was helping her escape from a bad situation. Now I think I was just the getaway driver for someone robbing their own bank." My lawyer says the divorce should be finalized next month. Because of the criminal investigation, everything's been documented beyond any reasonable doubt. More importantly, the prosecutor's office is considering filing charges against Lillian for filing a false police report and potentially fraud, since she lied to multiple people to try to get money to cover the debt. I've had 2 weeks to process all of this, and honestly, I'm feeling relieved more than anything else. Not just about the marriage ending, that still hurts, but about understanding what I was actually dealing with. The woman I thought I married never existed. The real Lillian was someone who could lie to police, lie to her family, lie to her friends, and then somehow convince herself that she was the victim in all of this. That's not someone I want to spend my life with. I keep thinking about what Martin said about her rewriting history. How many other things in our marriage did she just change in her head to fit whatever narrative she needed? It's scary to realize you can live with someone for 6 years and not actually know them at all. The house is officially mine as of yesterday. Lillian signed the quitclaim deed because she needed to remove any assets that could be seized for the debt. I'm going to stay with my brother for another few weeks while I get the place cleaned up and figure out what I want to do with it. And you know what? I'm not bored anymore. Turns out when you're not constantly managing someone else's emotional chaos, you have time for hobbies again. I started playing guitar again last weekend. Felt good. I'll probably post one more update when the divorce is final and I know what happens with any criminal charges. Final update. Reddit, this will be my last post about this saga. Everything's wrapped up now, and honestly, I need to move on with my life. But I figured you guys deserve to know how this all ended. As of last Thursday, I'm officially single again. The whole process took less time than anyone expected because Lillian's lawyer basically told her to take whatever she could get and run. When you're facing potential criminal charges for fraud and false reporting, you don't really have leverage in divorce negotiations. So I keep the house, my business, my actual savings, and my 401k. She keeps her car, which she still owes money on, and gets to walk away without me pursuing any damages for the business credit debt she created. My lawyer said I was being generous, but honestly I just wanted it over. The business debt, still entirely her problem. $32,000 plus interest and fees. It's up to about $35,000 now. The prosecutor did file charges for filing a false police report. Lillian ended up pleading no contest and got a suspended sentence, basically meaning if she stays out of trouble for 2 years, it won't go on her permanent record. But she still had to do 100 hours of community service and write formal apology letters to me, the bank, and the police department. Here's the beautiful ending to this whole mess, though. Last week, Lily called me with an update I never saw coming. Remember how Lillian's parents almost took out a second mortgage to help her pay off the debt? Well, after the truth came out, they obviously weren't going to do that. But the debt was still growing with interest, and the bank was starting to get aggressive about collection. So Charles, her dad, made Lillian an offer. He would pay off the entire debt, but only if she agreed to move across the country to live with his sister in Oregon and get intensive financial counseling. Basically, he bribed her to go away and get help. Lillian agreed because she didn't have any other options. As of yesterday, she's living in Portland with her aunt, working at a grocery store, and apparently attending mandatory financial literacy classes twice a week. Charles paid off the $35,000 debt, but he didn't just give her the money. He structured it as a personal loan with a payment plan that will take her 8 years to pay back, with interest. So Lillian got what she thought she wanted, access to a bunch of money that wasn't really hers. But instead of getting away with it, she ended up in debt to her own father for the next decade, exiled to Oregon, and working retail while everyone she knows thinks she's crazy. I'm doing really well, actually. Better than I've been in years. I kept the house but completely redecorated it. Got rid of anything that reminded me of Lillian and turned it into a space that's actually mine. I even got a dog, a rescue lab mix named Cooper, who's currently asleep on the couch next to me while I type this. Work has been great. Word got around about how I'd protected myself financially during the divorce, and I've picked up several new clients who want that same level of planning and security. Turns out, having your personal financial strategy become local legend is pretty good for business. I've been dating a little bit. Nothing serious yet, but it's nice to meet people who think financial responsibility is attractive instead of boring. Funny how that works. I know some of you followed this story from the beginning, and I appreciate all the support and advice. This community helped me feel less crazy during some really dark moments. I'm closing this chapter of my life now. Thanks for coming along for the ride, Reddit. It's been real.